everyone, welcome back to my channel. By the way, I'm Cheryl of the Elegant Ermine, and I am going to have a video tutorial of my Tarumi shawl today. I know this has been long overdue since I released this pattern last 2020, or I think it was the onset of the pandemic, but it's better late than never. So a little bit of introduction for my Tarumi shawl. So this shawl has a very versatile pattern which can be crocheted in different yarn types and weights according to your yarn preference and hook size. And this pattern can be made into somewhat solid with a little bit of weight or lacy drapey one. I'm going to explain that a little bit later. So this is a triangular shawl. This works up from the top down, and the size increases as you increase the number of rows, and it goes wider at the spine and on the sideways or the wing of the shawl or the pattern. And you can customize the size of your shawl by adding the number of rows, because that's how the size of the shawl increases. So here, for this one, that's here on the photo, this is the very shawl. So I used a coordinate Isabella from Poppy, a sport weight yarn. I used 6 skeins, and each skein has 153 yards or 140 meters. But sadly, this yarn has been discontinued. So this is a Japanese yarn. You can use different yarn types and weights, because one tester that I had, she used an 8-ply fine 100% cotton by Ashley's Crochet, and in which each cake is about 1,000 and 1,300 meters. So this particular project, and any acrylic yarn of any weight, because one tester also that I had, she used an acrylic 100%. I think it was a DK or a worsted weight yarn. So in terms of the size of the shawl that you wanted to make, just have to be mindful of the cakes or the skeins of yarn that you would be needing, because the number of skeins depend on your desired length. It's stated here. Now for this one, I used a 3.5 millimeter hook. You can use any hook size. That depends on what fabric that you would like to produce with your shawl, because when you're going to use a smaller sized hook than what is suggested with your yarn, the stitches that would be produced, or the stitches that would be produced, would be a little bit closer from each other. So the fabric that would be produced is a little bit solid. But if you're going to use a hook that is larger than what is suggested with your yarn, the fabric that is going to be produced is a little bit lacy and drapey. So it depends on what fabric that you wanted to produce with your shawl. So you can choose different hook size than what is suggested with your yarn. And of course, you would be needing scissors to snip up your yarns when you're done, and then maybe a couple of stitch marker or stitch holder, to hold your stitches when you're not yet done, and then a tapestry needle. I used a metal one because I don't like the plastic, because it has a little or bigger hole here that it would not go through easily when I'm going to weave the ends, or I'm going to pass the needle on the stitches. I used metal. And then but for this particular tutorial, I'm going to use this 4-ply Indufil yarn, 100% acrylic. This is a local yarn. And then for the hook, I'm going to use my I'm going to use my 4mm Susan Bates hook. This is my favorite hook so far, and that's basically it. So I would like to add that the skill level of this pattern is easy. Actually, a beginner or a confident beginner could do this. So the stitches that is being used here are just the basic stitches, which is chains, double crochet, slip stitch. So if you know how to do those stitches, those basic stitches, you're good to go to do this project. So first, let's create our slip knot. You can do your slip knot in whichever way you wanted to do it. I do mine like this. And then we're going to crochet 4. This is going to be our foundation ring. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you prefer to do a magic ring, I think that would also be good. That would also be okay. But I rarely use magic ring because I had quite a few incidents that my yarn entangled when I washed the project already. So I prefer the foundation chain. It's more secure for me. And then we're going to, after the foundation ring, sorry, I did not explain. So we're going to chain 4. So you have your 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then slip stitch on the first chain to form the ring or our foundation ring. There. And then chain 2. This chain 2 is counted as stitch, which is our DC or our double crochet. So this is counted as double crochet. And then 2 more double crochet into the ring. So 1, so here basically we have 3 double crochet for our first row. Again, I forgot, this is our first row already. So we have chain 2, which is counted as our first double crochet, and then another 2 double crochet into the ring. So in total we have 3 double crochet, and then chain 2. This chain 2 is our center spine. This is the chain space at our center spine. So since this is our center spine, we're just going to repeat the stitches that we have already here onto the other side. So we're going to create 3 double crochet into the ring. So let's recap our first row. So this is our first row. Chain 2, which is considered or counted as our double crochet, first double crochet, and another 2 double crochet into the ring, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet into the ring. And then for our second row, we're going to chain 2. So each row starts with chain 2, and then we're going to turn our work on our side like so, and then we're going to create 2 double crochet into the first stitch here. So in total we have 3 double crochet here. There. And then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to skip these 2 stitches, and we will do 3 double crochet into the chain space at the center spine. We have chain 1 and then 3 double crochet into the chain space. 1, 2, and 3. And again, we're going to do chain 2. So at our chains, at our center spine, I mean, we would always be creating 2 chains. See here, chain 2, and then just the same, 3 double crochet into the same chain space at the center spine. Now for the rest of our rows, we would always have 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet on the chain 2 space at center spine. And we would always begin each row with 3 double crochet on the first stitch. So chain 1, and then the final stitch here is our second chain from the beginning chain of the previous row. I always turn my work on my side because the stitch or this particular stitch is being formed like this one, and that's my cue that that is my final stitch. So we have chain 1, and then we're going to skip these 2 stitches and then 3 double crochet on the final stitch. So we have this in our second row. And this time you can tighten your tail end from your foundation ring like this to make it tighter. So by the way, I just tuck the end here when I do my double crochets into the ring. I just tuck my tail end. Now for our row 3, so here's the tip. Whenever you're going to remove your hook from your loop, now you will have a dilemma on how to insert your hook properly, whether this one or this one, so that you won't be having a twisted stitch. Make sure that your active end of the loop is in front of your hook here. So this is your loop, this is the active one. When I say active, you can pull it. Now the passive one here is it's already tied, you can pull it. Now the active part of the loop should be in front of your hook, and that way your stitch is not twisted. Now for our row 3, again we're going to crochet 3. That is our first, or counted as double crochet, and then 2 double crochet into the first stitch. Always we're going to create chain, or we're going to chain 2 as our first double crochet, and then 2 double crochet into the first stitch. And then this time we're going to chain 2, and then here on this chain space we will put 2 double crochet. 1, 2, there, and then chain 2, and then again here at the center spine we will do 3 double crochet, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet into the same chain space. So 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet into the same chain space. And then the stitches that we have here, we're just going to repeat from the center spine here down to the first stitch. So we're going to repeat that here, from here down to the last or the final stitch. So after this one, we have chain 2. So we're going to do that. Chain 2, and then 2 double crochet into the chain space on our 1 chain space. So this one, 2. So we're going to create 2 double crochet here. 1, 2, and then chain 2 again. 1, 2, and then in our final stitch here, we're going to do 3 double crochet. Now the good thing with this hook, that's why I said that this is my favorite hook, because whenever I have tight stitches that I can poke with the head, I can use the lip since it has thinner lip, so I can yank the stitch with the lip like this one. Sometimes I cannot go through with the head, but this one has a sharp point of the head. But sometimes I cannot use, or I cannot do that way. So I yank the stitch with the lip, like so. So here we're going to create 3 double crochet. So there is our row 3. Now for our row 4, chain 2, then again 2 double crochet into the first stitch. So there. And then we're going to crochet 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to put 1 double crochet here in this stitch, 1 double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in between these 2 DC posts. And the next is here on the next stitch, on top of our second DC post from the previous row. So there. And then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and again 3 DC, chain 2, 3 DC on the chain or the 2 chain space at the center spine. So that's our 4th row. Now we're going to repeat this on the other side. So we skip the stitches here, and the next is in between the 2 DC posts, and then on the next stitch, and then chain 3, and then here on our final stitch we're going to do 3 double crochet. So there is our 4th row. For our 5th row, again chain 2, 2 DC on the first, or 2 double crochet on the first stitch, and then we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here on our chain space we will put 1 DC. Let's just make sure that our DC would be closer here. So put it here on our chain space. And then next is 3 double crochet, or 1 double crochet in each of these 3 stitches. So here, so there, and then 1 on the next chain space. And then we will chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So with this stitch we can actually pull the stitch closer on the middle here, and then chain 4, and then on the center spine we're going to skip the stitches here, and then on the center spine 3 DC, chain 2, 3 DC. There. So we're just going to repeat these stitches here on the other side, from the center spine down to the last stitch, or the final stitch. I'm just going to make this a little faster, and I will meet you here on this. So here I would be doing the last stitch, so I crocheted 4 chains already, and then 3 double crochet into the final stitch. So that is our 5th row. So 3 double crochet, chain 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, double crochet here in the middle, and then chain 4, and then 3 double crochet, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet and the 2 chain space at the center spine. So that is our 5th row. Now for our 6th row, again, chain 2, turn our work on our side, and then 2 double crochet on the first stitch. And after the 3 double crochet, we will chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1 double crochet into the chain space, this one. And then 5 or 1 double crochet in each of the 5 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there, let's just pull this one here, and then 1 double crochet into the next chain space. And then chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to skip this, and then 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet on the 2 chain space at the center spine. So again, we're going to repeat the stitches here on the other side. I'm just going to go a little bit faster, and I will meet you here when I'm done with the 3 double crochet on the final stitch. So for our row 6, we have 3 double crochet, chain 5, and then 1 double crochet on the chain space, and then 1 double crochet on each of the 5 stitches, and then 1 on the next chain space, chain 5, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet on the 2 chain space at the center spine. And then the stitches here is just a repeat from what we have here, from the spine down to the first stitch here. So we have 3 double crochet here, and then we're also having 3 double crochet on the final stitch. Now for the next row, we would now be adding we'll have 2 motifs this time. So this one is a motif, and then on the succeeding row, we'll add 1 more here. So it's basically 1 here and then 1 here. As we complete this motif here at the center, we would also be adding 2 motifs here, 1 in each side of the first motif. So to do that, so this is our row 7. So chain 2, turn our work, and then 2 DC on the first stitch, or 2 DC in the first stitch, and then just like what we did here, we're just going to recreate that in here. So chain, or 3 DC, or 3 DC here, and then we're going to chain 1 and then 3 DC here on the chain space. So here, chain 1 and then 3 DC on the chain space. 1, 2, 3, and then after this, we'll chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. After we chain 4, we'll skip the remaining chains. We'll skip the remaining stitches here on the chain space, as well as the first one, and we'll do double crochet on the next. And actually, we will be putting double crochet on the stitches here, the 5 stitches here. So skipping the first one and the last one. So double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here, and then chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just like here, we have 3 double crochet on the chain space, so we will also have 3 double crochet here on this chain space. So 1, 2, 3. So there we have 3. We can pull this stitches closer here, and then chain 1, and I will do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet on the 2 chain space at the center spine. So there is our row 7, and then we're going to do the same stitch here for the other side, from starting from here down there. So basically we'll end up with 3 double crochet stitches on the final stitch. Now let's have a recap of our row 7. So we'll have 3 DC, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet in the chain space, chain 4, and then 1 double crochet in each of the 5 stitches, skipping the first one and the last one here, chain 4, and then 3 double crochet on the chain space, chain 1, and then 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet on the 2 chain space at the center spine. And basically these stitches here are just mirrored stitch, or the stitches that we have here on the right side. So the final stitch are 3 double crochet on the final stitch from the previous row there. Now row 8, it's just the same here. So we have done this one. So this time we'll do 3 double crochet and then chain 2, and then 2 double crochet on the chain space that we have here, and then chain 2, and then 3 double crochet here. So basically we're the motif here is getting bigger while the motif here is getting smaller, or we're increasing the motif here and then we're decreasing the motif here. So here we have 1, and then the next one is we have 2, and then as we grow, as we add more rows to our project, we would have an increase of 1 with our motif. See here, our row 8 still start with chain 2, turn our work, and then 2 double crochet on the first stitch, and then chain 2, and then 2 double crochet on the chain space, chain 2, and then skip this one and 3 double crochet on the chain space. There, and then this time we'll chain 3, 2, 3, and then again we'll skip the first one here and the last one. So basically we'll put 1 double crochet in each of these 3 stitches. So there, we skip this one, and then on the next one we put 1 double crochet, and then on the next, and then on the next. So we're decreasing the motif here, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, just like here, and then we'll put 3 double crochet here on the chain space. One, two, three. So there, chain 2. I will put 2 double crochet on the chain space. 1, 2, chain 2, and then again we'll skip this one, and then 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet and the 2 chain space at the center spine. There is our row 8. So again, we're repeating this one on the other side. So this is our row 8. There. For row 9, chain 2 again, turn our work, and then 2 double crochet in the first stitch. And then we'll chain 3, and then 1 double crochet here, and then 1 in between and 1 on the next stitch. One in between, and then 1 on the next stitch. And then chain 3, 2, 3, and I will skip this one, and then we'll have 3 double crochet here. So we'll skip the stitches here. And then we'll chain 2. And then we'll put 1 double crochet in between the first and the second DC post here. And then 1 in between the second and the third DC post. So we're putting double crochet in between of the DC post and not on the stitch, like this. And then chain 2, and then 3 double crochet on the chain space. 1, 2, 3, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I will put one double crochet on top of our DC post on the previous row, and then one in between, and then one on the next stitch here. So basically we'll put 3 double crochet on this part, or on this area here. So here, the next in between the 2 DC posts, and the next on the next stitch, and then chain 3, skip the stitches there, and then 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet on the 2 chain space at the center spine. So there is our row 9. So again, we'll do the same stitches here for the other side. So far, this is our row 9, or we're on our 9th row already. Now row 10, or 10th row, chain 2, turn our work, 2 double crochet in the first stitch, and then chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and I will put 1 double crochet on the chain space here, and then on each of the 3 stitches we'll put 1 double crochet each, and then on the next chain space, 1 on the next chain space. Okay, so we can pull this one closer to the rest of the stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip the stitches here, and on the next chain space we'll put 3 double crochet, in there, then chain 1, and then skip these 2 stitches, and then 3 double crochet on the next chain space, so there, and then chain 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 double crochet here on the chain space, sorry, 1, and then next on this 3 stitches, 1 each and 3 stitches, and then on the next chain space 1 double crochet. So in total we have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. And then chain 4. And I will skip the stitches as well as the 3 here, the remaining chain space and the 3 stitches here, and then 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet on the 2 chain space at the center spine. So that is our row 10. So here we are decreasing the motif here, and then we're increasing the 2 motif on the sides. So row 10, 3 double crochet, chain 4, and then 1 double crochet on the chain space, and then 1 on each of the 3 stitches, and then 1 on the next chain space, chain 4, and then skip this one, and then on the next chain space 3 double crochet, chain 1, and then on the next chain space 3 double crochet, chain 4, then skip this one, and then so we skip the stitches here, and then 1 double crochet on the chain space, and then 1 in each of the 3 stitches, as well as 1 on the next chain space, chain 4, and then 3 double crochet, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet on the same chain space at the center spine. And then basically the stitches that we have here, again, we're just going to repeat or do the same stitches from the center spine down to the first stitch. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to do a little bit faster, and I'll meet you here when I'm done with the stitches on this side. Now the next row is supposed to close our first motif here. So basically we're just going to put 3 double crochet on this chain space here. So as you can see here, it's like we're having a border of our motif here. We're having a border of 3 double crochet on the chain spaces. So the last or the next row is supposed to close this one, or to complete this first motif that we have here. Now for our 11th row, I just go ahead. I crocheted 3 double crochet on the first stitch, because that's what we always have to do every time we start our row, and then chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll put 1 double crochet on the chain space here, and then next is 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 on the next chain space there. So we can pull the stitch here, there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then chain 5 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, And then we'll skip this one and we'll put 3 double crochet on the chain space here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, there, and then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll skip this one and then 1 double crochet on the next chain space, or on the chain space here, and then 1 in each of the 5 stitches here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 on the next chain space, just like what we did previously here on this particular row. We can pull this one and again chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip this one and then 3 double crochet on the 2 chain space at the center spine, and then chain 2 and then 3 double crochet on the same chain space. So basically that's our 11th row. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, and then another 3 double crochet here, same chain space, and I will show you how our stitches is forming this time. It's here, there. So this is how our pattern and our stitches is forming so far. So we have completed this motif here, and then we have another 2 motif on the side of our first motif. And since we reach the row wherein we have already 7 double crochet stitches on our motif here, so we're going to start decreasing our motif here and also here. So it's just basically a repeat of what we did here. So this is 7, and then we'll start to decrease our motif here, and then also by decreasing we would also be adding another motif on this side. So since we have 2 now, we have 2, and this time we'll be adding 3. We'll have 3 motifs, 1 here, 1 in the middle, and 1 on the other side. So I'll go ahead, I'll work a little faster on the other side of this row, and I'll meet you when I'm done with the stitches on the final stitch here. So this is our row 11 so far. So we have here 3 double crochet on the first stitch, chain 5, and then 7 double crochet, 1 on the chain space, and then 5 double crochet. Like each stitch here we put 1 double crochet, so 1 2 3 4 5, and then another one on the chain space, chain 5, and then we skip the stitches here, and then on the next chain space we put 3 double crochet, and then chain 5, and then this one is just the same here, and then on the middle or the center spine we have 3 double crochet, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet on the 2 chain space at the center spine. And the stitches here are just the same on the right side, or the stitches that we have here. The pattern is just in a mirrored manner from the spine down to the last stitch. So here we started with 3 double crochet on the first stitch, and then also here we end with 3 double crochet on the final stitch. At this point, the border of this first motif is already done, or it's finished. It's already closed here. So this time we're going to add another motif here that will decrease this motif that we have here. So we'll also add another one motif here. We'll decrease this one, and then we'll add another motif here. So by adding, we're just going to repeat the pattern for this one with the pattern that we have here, this one, or here. And then by decreasing, we're just going to repeat the pattern that we have here. So we'll add another one here, and then we'll decrease. We'll skip the stitches from the first and the first and the last here, and then we'll add here, and then we'll decrease by skipping the first stitch and the last stitch, and then we'll add one motif by doing the pattern here. So this one there. I'll just go ahead by crocheting the row 12, and then I'll explain everything later, since these are just row repeats. When you're at this point, I do believe that it would be easy for you to continue and add more rows with your project, since these are just row repeats. And also it would be easy for you to visualize your work. How is it going? Is it forming into a pattern, or is it forming into a motif? Since we already crocheted some parts of the pattern. Now for our row 12 or 12 row, like what I've said, this row is just a repeat of the previous row that we already have. So here we're adding one more motif, just like this one, and then we're decreasing the motif here, just like what we did here, and then another motif here, which would be added, and then decrease the motif that we already have here, like this one like this, and then another motif will be added here. So just have to remember that when you're already on this row of your motif, like 7 stitches, or you already have 7 stitches of this one in the middle of the motif, then the next row you're going to add another motif on the side, and then the recent motif will be decreased, or you're going to just do some decrease stitches on the following row. And then every succeeding or the next row of the one, or like this, the last double crochet stitch that is supposed to close the border of your motif, you're going to add another motif on top of it. So like this. Of course, the stitches that we have on the other side are just the same with the stitches that we have on the right side. So this is just basically it with the Tarumi shawl. I'm going to add more rows, and then I'm going to do the border. So I have added a few rows up to the point where our second set of motif is completed, or are completed, since we have two motifs. The second set has two motifs already. So this one, there, it's already closed, and then the other one is already closed, and then now we can see that there are three motifs that are slowly forming on the sides of our two motifs. So I think that this point, this size can be used as a bandana. So you can put a string here, crochet a string, and then on the other side as well, and then this can be used as a bandana. I won't be adding more rows anymore, but I would now be doing the border pattern. So basically, if you're going to make this project a little bit larger, you just have to repeat the rows. And before you're going to do the border, make sure that you will end with this pattern. Like with your motif, you will have the 7 stitches in the middle of the motif, and then there you can add the border. Now for the border, we'll start with just the same with the previous row, chain 2 and then 2 double crochet on the first stitch, and then double crochet in each of the stitches here. So we'll put one here and then one also, and then in every 5 chain spaces we'll put only 4 double crochet, and then 1 single crochet in each of the stitches, and then 4 double crochet here on the 5 chain space, then 1 in each, and then 4, and then 1 in each, and then 4 again, and then 1 in each, and then 4 again, and then 1 in each stitches, and then 4 again, and then 1 here, 1 in each of the stitches. So I went ahead with the border of, or the first row of the border. See here, these are just double crochet. So 3 double crochet on the first stitch, and then 1 in each of the stitches here. And then for every 5 chain space, we crochet 4 double crochet here, and then in this part, 1 in each stitches, and then again 5 chain space, 4 double crochet, 1 in each stitches, and then 4 double crochet on the 5 chain space, and then 1 in each stitches, and again 4 double crochet on the 5 chain space, and then 1 in each stitches. We have 3 here, so 1 in each, and then again 4 double crochet on the 5 chain space, 1 in each stitches, and then 4 double crochet on the 5 chain space, and then 1 on each stitches here. And then on the 2 chain space at the center spine, 2, we're going to create 2 double crochet instead of 3, 2 double crochet, and then chain 1, and then 2 double crochet on the same chain space. Basically, these are just the same. These stitches are just the same here. So that's our first row of the border. And now for the second row of the border, we're going to have an alternating daisy post and chain space. So we'll crochet 3 chains. The first 2 chains is considered as double crochet, and then the third chain is considered, The third chain is considered a chain space. So let's turn our work on our side and then single crochet on the first stitch. Then chain 1 and then skip 1 stitch and double crochet on the next. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch and double crochet on the next. So basically that is what we're going to do until we reach the center spine. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch and double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch and double crochet. I'm going to do these stitches off cam and I'll meet you when I am here at the center spine. See here, I'm done with one side with the second pattern of the border, or the second row of the border. See here, don't worry if your stitches is a little bit wonky at this time. It will be fixed once you block your project. Wet block, that would be best. So here, chain 1 or double crochet, chain 1 and then skip 1 stitches until the last stitch here before the chain space, and then chain 1 and then 1 double crochet on the chain space, and then chain 2 and then again 1 double crochet on the same chain space. Now on the other side it's just the same, chain 1 and then the first stitch after the chain space, the center spine, we put a double crochet there and then so on and so forth. Chain double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 stitch and then double crochet on the next until the final stitch here. So I'm going to crochet a little bit faster here and then I'll meet you back when I am on the last stitch. I will show you how it is done on the last stitch. So now I am at almost at the very end of this row. See here, chain 1 and then we'll skip 1 stitch, and then the final stitch is the second chain of the beginning chain from the previous row. So we'll put our final stitches here and then chain 1 and double crochet on the same stitch. So that is our final stitch on the last stitch, or the final stitches on our last stitch for this row. And now for the third row, or the last row of our border, this is going to be an alternating fan stitch with a single crochet in each of the double crochet posts. So here we're going to create, we're going to chain 2, and then on the first stitch we'll do 4 double crochet. So in total we have 5 double crochet on the first stitch, 4, and then 5. And then on the next DC post here we will create a single crochet, and then on the next here we'll do 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then on the next post here we'll do single crochet. So basically that is what's our pattern on the third or the final row of the border. So we have DC posts here. So in each of the DC posts we're going to create 5, an alternating of fan stitch. A fan stitch is where 5 double crochet in a particular stitch or in a particular TC post, and then on the next single crochet, and then on the next fan stitch, and then on the next single crochet. So that is for the entirety of the row until we reach the center spine, and I'm going to show you how it's done on the center spine. But for this, I'm going to go ahead and do this in a faster manner so that you won't get bored with the repeating stitches. So I'll make this fast. For the border for the final border, or for the final row of the border at the center spine, so the last DC post will be a fan stitch, and then the single crochet will be on the chain space, the 2 chain space at the center spine. And also for the other side, so this is the first DC post, so on top of that, the stitch on top of the first DC post will be a fan stitch, and then the second will be a single crochet, just like on the other side. So basically, this is it for our border. So our border is just composed of 3 rows. The first is just double crochet, and then the second will be an alternating DC post and a chain, and then the third would be the fan and single crochet, alternating fan stitch and single crochet. And for the prototype, I had 10 of these, 10 row of our motifs from the top here. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. The 10th would be half. So I had 10 rows of our motif before I created my border. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and I would like to see your projects using this pattern. And please consider subscribing to my channel and give it a thumbs up if you find this tutorial interesting. And also hit the notification bell so that you would be notified every time I'm going to upload new videos. And thank you. And thank you for hanging out with me today. And I'll see you all next time. God bless us all.